self-validation is always the best validation.
Often outside, I'm going to always want it from outside rather than feeling like I should already have it within.
There's times where people will validate you when you don't want it, and there's times where people will validate you when you don't expect it. And it's just best to always have that within yourself, so that when people aren't there to do it for you, you always have it.
Almost like planting a garden, literally, right? I'm always want to pick an apple from their tree, but I don't know how long is it going to be to grow another apple.
You can't expect it from anyone else, you know?
Welcome everybody to the Valle Cry podcast. I am your host, Angel, and you guys are here because you want to learn, you want to grow, you want to heal, you want to become that better person, right? You just want to understand yourself a little bit more, and I'm so glad that you're here, your energy, your presence, if you are driving, if you're cleaning, and if maybe you just want to listen real quick, if it's on YouTube, favorite podcast platform, whatever it is, I'm just so glad that you're here. And I'm also really glad someone else is here. We have a very special guest today, and we actually worked a couple times with Mike. Shout outs to Mike. You know, I'll be shouting him out often on this show. And then I also saw you post something on Instagram, and it was on Facebook. It was just you actually just kind of just spitting bars, but you was singing, and you was talking a lot about your experience and how you see things. So I definitely wanted to have you come on and just talk about it. And I didn't get your last name, so everybody's going to hear firsthand as well as I am. So it's
Joshua Valle, yeah. Valle.
Joshua Valle.
Yep.
All right, Joshua Valle. Thank you,
Weird.
Josh.
I've never heard that last name on anyone else. But sometimes people are Del Valle or whatever, but it's just Valle.
Yeah. Joshua Valle.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here. I'm sorry. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. You know, I was excited because I feel like lately, I've been working with this program, this youth program I run, and I've been around a lot of kids, and so I'm giving them advice and stuff like that. And I always hear, "Oh, you should start a podcast." Yeah, I feel like this is my intro, you know. I'm finally getting to kind of stretch that muscle and be able to talk to you and kind of spread my advice to the world. And I know I may be young, but, you know, I got a few things to say, a few things to share, so it's cool to be here.
Yeah, no, I love that you say that. I work with kids myself, and you can learn a lot from kids. 100%. And, you know, even despite you being young, I think age is just a reminder, right? It's not an indicator, you know? Yep. And one thing I always say, because I think I could have the same being told to me that, okay, well, I'm talking about mental health, but there might not be enough things that I went through to speak on things, right? And I always say I might be young and I haven't been through enough, but or through a lot, but I've had enough. You know what I'm saying?
Everyone's experiences are unique, and that's what makes it willing. Like, that's why everyone should share it, because everyone has their own perspective on it. And even though we may have gone through similar experiences, you may have thought about it differently, you may have processed it differently, and that's why everyone should always be listened to. You know what I mean?
I totally agree, and that's why we're here today. You know, I just want to hear what you made this song. I don't even know the name of it yet. I heard it. I was like, bro, let's go on. You were like, sure. Let's do it.
Yeah. So this song, I wrote it a month ago, and it's funny you say that, because I've been taking sort of like a break, like a hiatus from my music. I've done music for a while now. We'll get into that a little bit later, but this song in particular doesn't even have a name. I kind of just made it to make it, and I felt like it was a time for me to kind of go back to my old ways and post online like I used to, and just throw something out there. Not everything I make has to be 100%. Just throw something out there, and look, now we're here.
Well, so, I love that. Yeah, no, enough said,
literally.
Yeah, and before we get into that, because I can't wait, I want to break the ice into this conversation and play our communication card game. So it's called Enough Said. If you guys haven't got Enough Said card game, you can order it with the link below in the description if you're on YouTube. And even if you're on Apple Podcasts, or if you follow us on Instagram, it's a great way to break the ice on getting to know someone. And, you know, why not get to know Joshua here? And as well as, you know, we've talked briefly, but there's still so much to know.
1,000%.
You know what I mean? So I'm going to just do a couple shuffle right here. And then I'm going to have you pick a card, read it out loud, and we'll make the conversation go. All right.
All right, so the question is, time travel to your younger self. What would you tell yourself?
Dang.
So I'm already young as it is.
Right, I was about to say, you pretty...
So
And how old are you, by the way?
I'm 19.
19, right.
I'm 19. My birthday's in November, so I'll be 20 soon.
My birthday's in September.
Oh, look at that. Oh, happy belated birthday.
Yes.
So, if I could time travel, which I think about often, believe it or not, it's a weird topic to think about, but if I could time travel, what would I tell myself? I'll probably tell myself, like, I'll be okay. Just because I'm not gonna lie, like, my circumstances were pretty roughly, like, barely, like, really good. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. For the most part, like, I had parents that care about me, that provide for me, and they've always had my best interest. But my surroundings, in terms of my friends, the people that I was around, the community I was in, I've always seen things that, unfortunately, a kid at that age shouldn't see. You know what I mean? So if I could tell myself anything, is that I would be okay. Like, you know, just keep your head straight, and don't follow anyone else. You know what I mean? Do your own thing, because at the end of the day, you can't limit yourself to what's around you. You got to be able to fend for yourself and do right by yourself and not follow anyone else. You know what I mean? So
yeah, no, that's definitely something, you know, I could resonate for myself. I think the fact is that when we were younger, we always wanted to follow something, because at a time we might not sure what was right. Mm-hmm. So we think when we see something, it looks cool or something like that, we'd be like, oh, maybe that's what I should do because that's getting the most attention. So we realized on the things that get the most attention, we think is what is right. And then that's where we go into that instant gratification because of the attention that it brings of that instant gratification. So I definitely could say the same for myself. I think, you know, for me, if I was going to say something to myself when I was younger, it would be to have yourself at your best interest, right? That you care about you more than you think anyone else can. Because I think sometimes, you know, growing up, you know, I always want that validation, you know, to know that I'm enough in a sense, right? Growing up, I don't know my dad, right? Never met him, never seen his face or nothing like that. And maybe that could be a lack of that. But it's more of the understanding that, you know, I need to self-validate myself, because regardless of all the validation that I get from the external experience, like if it's mom, if it's grandma, if it's friends, or even if it's a significant other, that doesn't validate me anymore. It just validates more of what more I need. You know what I mean? I get it often outside. I'm going to always want it from outside rather than feeling like I should already have it within. You know what I mean? It's almost like planting a garden, literally, right? I'm always want to pick an apple from their tree, but I don't know how long is it going to be to grow another apple. Rather than I know how long it's going to take for me, and I know when it comes out, I could pick my own apple. You know what I mean? So
yeah, self-validation is always the best validation, because I mean, you can't expect it from anyone else. You know, it's like there's times where people will validate you when you don't want it, and there's times where people will validate you when you don't expect it. And it's just best to always have that within yourself, so that when people aren't there to do it for you, you always have it.
Yeah. I remember you said that you started music a little bit more a while ago, and you're 19 now. Yeah. So when did you start doing music?
So I started music around 14. This is actually a really good story that I'm glad I'm able to share now. Yeah. I've told it here and there. So a couple years ago, this was probably like my second cruise that I did. Me and my family, we do a yearly cruise, and this was probably the second one around there. And we were getting off the boat, and we were all packing, you know, the chaos. Everybody's, you know, in line trying to get off the boat, all the families around and stuff like that. And it's chaotic, you know, there's a lot going on. Vacation's over, so people aren't the happiest.
Right.
And for out of nowhere, I hear my mom like screaming, and I've never heard my mom in a vulnerable situation up to that point. So that scared me, like my heart sank. And when I come to find out, my uncle had passed away. Oh, wow. Her younger brother had passed away. And in that moment, I didn't really know how to feel. This uncle of mine, I didn't talk to as much as I wish I could have, but I knew for some reason it bothered me, it hurt me, it struck a chord. So later on down the line, you know, we're all coping and stuff like that. I remember the conversations him and I had through the phone about music, and it never really occurred to me that I could do that. He would always try to chip in and be like, "Come on, you can, like, write something for me, see if you can." and it just never clicked. But for some reason, like 3 months later, a friend of mine invited me over to make a song, and I was like, you know what, screw it. And I didn't even think about my uncle. Didn't even occur to me that, oh, maybe, you know, this has to do with that. Nothing. I just went to my friend's house. We had a good time, and then I made a song, and I dropped it. I posted it all over my Instagram, my Facebook. People were sharing it, liking it, and that validation is what made me be like, you know what, I could probably do this. And ever since, I've been doing it. So I was around 14. So wow. It's been 5 years roughly, and you know, I don't regret it. It's been such a learning experience, and I love being able to give my message through music.
Enough said. No, I love that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The fact of, you know, a relationship that you had with your uncle, and even as, you know, short term that was, because you don't remember as much, it still did some form of significance. And it's crazy how all that worked together. You know, he's just, out of all things, he's like, yo, like, let me just write something. Like, let me see what you can do. Like, was he a person that was into music himself? Do you know?
Yeah. He loved music. And he'd rap on the phone for me.
Wow.
And this was, again, before I even really knew I could do this. So I was just like, dang, uncle, like, you're good. But I never ever in my life imagined me doing it until a couple months down the line after he passed away, where I was like, you know what, maybe I can. And I tried it.
Right. So. And it's also, you know, your friend saying like, hey, you know, you should come over and do music. Out of all things, you know, you having a friend that also is around music, it just sounded like destiny. It was like, no matter what, you kept saying no. And then, you know, then your friend comes along after the fact that your uncle died. And yeah, that's kind of pretty crazy.
It's super cool. The law of attraction, I'm telling you.
Yo, that is, I think people need to understand how that is. Like, that's like you living on purpose, right?
1000%.
You know, and purpose is when you're able to give service to others while you're also doing what you like, what you're passionate about. That's purpose.
When everything has a deeper meaning, it makes it so much more valuable. That's why even if later on down the line I don't pursue music, I know that it'll always be a part of me, and it'll always be a part of my image, who I was, who I am, and you know, that's why I take so much passion and pride in what I write and what I do, and how people, you know, perceive my music.
Right. So. Yeah, and I think there's so many genres that someone could go to when it comes to music, right? We see all these artists, right? There's pop, there's R&B, there's hip-hop and soul, or R&B and soul as well, and there's just so many genres. And, you know, with the music that I listen to currently, the one that doesn't have a name, I don't know if we'll make a name now, but I was going to ask if you will be willing to let the audience know. Can you do acapella?
Oh, 1000%.
Okay, so you know, do you know by the top of your head?
Yeah, for sure.
Man, ladies and gentlemen, we got a treat for you. So, like, hey, I'm gonna let you have the floor, and if you want to break it down or you want to do it slow, however you want to do it, I'm gonna let you take the floor now, and I'm just gonna stay back. So, ladies and gentlemen, whatever you're doing, you might just want to stop real quick. If you're cleaning, if you're driving, just keep driving. But let's do it. All right.
So I'm gonna put these on because I want to be able to hear myself.
All right, bet. Let's do it.
But yeah, I'll do it a cappella real quick. So, success is what you make, and I ain't made enough. How I try and lift myself, but still ain't getting up. Working on my soul, I can't see if it ain't adding up. Hope that I could shine, but all these people just be... My past was walking past. It just made me laugh. I like to keep it really brief because I'm never coming last. How you want to throw a stone when all your walls are made of glass? Got so used to making songs, I had to find a different bag. You be worried about the ice. Try to pay the price. I can't fall for all these people who be acting like they nice. How you say that you my brother? You not there to give advice. I was left here all alone, but I know that I'll be all right. And one false move, everybody can get it. Too attached to all these socials, people act like they winning. Don't be asking stupid questions when I post you and click it. Now I stopped in your concern, so now I'm back on a mission. This that chill money. All these gangsters moving broke, they need some real money. Smoke your bag away, these people acting like they real funny. Like, how you want to say you real? All my life I heard that last one, now it's clear I know the deal. Like, how you want to say you real? All my life I heard that last one, now it's clear I know the deal.
Yeah. Or snap fingers.
Thank you. That was first attempt. That
was first attempt too. No, you did good.
Thank you.
And I think, you know, the story itself, right, is almost as if when someone wasn't there for you, someone didn't believe in you, and you're like, no matter what it is, though, I'm more on the fact of why weren't you there? It felt like you should have been there, and regardless of that, I'm still gonna go do what I gotta do, right? Like when you say I had to change the bag, right? I had to change the perspective. I had to move so I don't be around the things that are obsolete to me, right? Get up on my feet, right?
Yeah.
So what made you make that though? Like I think if there's a story to that on why you made that, well, are you willing to share what is that story?
Yeah, 1000%. So there's different stories within that one song. You know, every line has its own significance. One of the big takeaways I feel like that are part of that song is kind of like what you were saying, that there were people who I've had around me who serve their purpose and don't necessarily have to be there anymore. But it just goes to show that, you know, I feel like the whole world thinks that they owe people favors when they really don't. Like,
right.
There's people I've been around who I've known my whole life who, again, serve their purpose. And that's why I say, like, how you say that you're my brother, you're not there to give advice.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of people out there who they'll call you your brother when it's in their time of need, but then when it's you that are, you know, you're down, they're not there. Right. And I feel like it's important that people hear that type of message, because just because you're around a million people doesn't mean you're really around anyone that cares for you.
No, and I love that you say that, because just because someone's on your side doesn't mean that they're on your side. You know what I mean? So it's like it's almost as similar as to when, you know, you go to a crime scene and you see a cop there, and then you see a guy they're just a regular guy, a regular person, right? You would think that, okay, you probably think it has to do something with the guy, not the cop, because there's only one and one. But you'd be surprised that your people that are on your team are also the ones that would do something. It's all a form of manipulation. It's all a form of trying to get something out of something, right, or someone. Because in this world that is full of giving, there's still a lot of people that like to take. So yeah, no, 100%. Definitely. And there was one thing you said too in there was the, you know, having your walls up, but they're made out of glass. What was that line?
So I said, how do you want to throw a stone when all your walls are made of glass?
Right.
And this was probably one of my favorite lines, just because it's true. I feel like this day and age, people are so quick to throw strays at people and talk about people. But the moment that they're put in the limelight and they're put, you know, they're the center of attention and people are critiquing them, they can't take it.
Right.
So that's what I mean. Like, a lot of people will get ridiculed, but can't handle when it's given back to them.
Right.
And it's just literally me breaking down society's, like, structure, how people are so quick to fold under pressure when they're the ones who always give it out.
Yo, absolutely. And it's crazy that, you know, there's a lot of people that don't understand that perspective, though, right? And you're 19, and then you've seen enough to be like, yeah, this is what it looks like. And there's still so much to even understand, because the experience itself, and then what you already see, what you be seeing. Like, I be people watching, seeing what people do, what people say, and this says a lot about them. You know what I mean? The way they do things, right? And or when people say, "Oh, yeah, I'm honest," but they don't value honesty the way that they say that they do, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is, like, people say that they like honesty is more of what I was trying to say, but they don't know how to be honest with themselves or be honest with the person, because they like lying, and how much lying could be an easy way out or just a comfort. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it just shows that
the hypocrisy. Yeah, exactly. Literally, that's the main word for that line, is hypocrisy. People can't take what they give. And that says everything that you need to know about that person.
Right. So, yeah. And so what are other lines that would you say is your favorite that you would break down into? Because there's a lot of info that's going on there. So
so there's a part where I talk about I say success. The first line off the rip: success is what you make, but I ain't made enough.
Right.
That line in itself, it holds a lot of weight in terms of my point of view lately. I've been working. I've been trying to do as much as I can, and you know, those milestones I feel like are easy to ignore when you're so hyper focused on the future and what you have coming, sometimes it's okay to, sit down and realize like, wow, I'm actually doing this. Like, even though I'm not at the end, I still have so much done, and you should be proud of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, being grateful is the biggest commodity, right?
Yes.
If you can't be grateful for what you have, then will you really be grateful for what you get? You know what I mean? So that's a question that everybody has to ask themselves, because we could worry about the outcome, but if we're not enjoying the process, then we're not going to enjoy the outcome, just as similarly saying. So it's kind of just, you got to be grateful and just live in the moment. Just be. That's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, for sure.
And I wanted to ask too, because I know you said mom and dad did good. Would you say they were the ones that give you the inspiration of the thought that you be having, right? Because I think there's a mental component to how you make music.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right. Anybody can make music a little bit differently, but the way that you break it down is more in a, I always say like my favorite artist is Big Sean, right? So around that aspect, like J. Cole or like their kind of music on how they break things down, right? There's so many other ways, but it gives me that kind of feel, right? It's more reflective. It sounds like your music sounds very reflective. So I want to know, is mom and dad an inspiration from that?
Oh yeah, well, definitely. It's one of those things. Obviously, when I started music, that validation was easy. It was easy for me to just try to live with the hype and try to get, people moving. And that's a lot of things. That's something I hear a lot, is like, oh, you gotta make a trap song. You gotta make a song that people will dance to and stuff like that. But to me, what really hits me, what really makes me be like, wow, is when someone talks about something that makes people think. And my parents, they've always, they taught me so much things in terms of communication, in terms of, mental health, and just seeing the way they were there for me and the way that they brought me up. I just felt like, for sure, molded me into thinking like there's way more important things to talk about than, sex, guns, violence. Like, those are things that I feel like are oversaturated. And I want to talk about the things that people think about in the shower rather than what they see on the streets.
Yeah, like when you had a long day, you just think about how long your day was and what you want to work on and all these other things. What would you say when it comes to, if it's music or if it's something that you personally work on, what is that one thing that you say you're trying to get better at?
Probably my biggest thing, and I stress this so much, like if you guys can, if I can, is to be consistent. Anything you do, anything you have a passion for, be consistent. I feel like that's the biggest thing I struggle with when it comes to music. Even like my editing stuff now, that's one of the lyrics I mentioned, is I got so used to making songs I had to find a different bag. And that bag is, making videos. That's what I go to school for, digital media and video production. So I can't stress it enough, like be consistent, like have fun with it. And not everything has to be, plan A. Just because I'm making music and this is what I like to do, it doesn't mean it has to be my main source of income. It doesn't have to be, in the forefront of my life. Like, I can do these things and know that I'll forever do it, but it doesn't have to be my main focus. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so, for sure, being consistent.
Totally appreciate you saying that, because consistency is something that I've been trying to be really good with. And for the past 2 years, past 2 years now, it's kind of hard to tell because, time moves so slow, but then it also moves so fast.
Yeah.
But doing the podcast, right, just being consistent and, all our listeners, everybody that is watching us, just being able to give them something to talk about, right? Yeah. Because the biggest thing to talk about is mental health, is communication, is personal development, right? And how to have a good relationship with people, right? Because that's the things that we want. We want connection. We want to be able to get to know one another, and that all comes with asking right questions, getting to know someone, why they do things, what is it that they're doing, how they're doing it, but then more importantly, why you're doing it, right? Yes. Because that all comes into what you're passionate about. And sometimes if there's no why, then you need to ask yourself what that is, because the why is what gives you your purpose. The why is what makes it intentional, right? So I think it's always important to have a perspective. And I already, you know, I think everybody that is listening too, like, this is the first time me and Josh are like sitting down and really getting to know each other. Like, we've talked very briefly, and we worked together, you know, putting some videos together, like very briefly, but not enough to sit down and really get to know one another. So this is like me breaking the ice right now with you guys, like live as you are hearing this. So
for sure.
I'm learning a lot, and it seems as if you have a very calm and intuitive mindset, and that I wish I had more of that when I was 19. Like, seriously, you know, I feel like I was a lot more aggressive. I was a very aggressive person. I was a very reactive person, and I was really not good with communication. So being able to see someone like yourself that's 19, you have a good head on your shoulders. It's admirable. You know what I mean? Because I think it doesn't matter how old you are. Everybody needs to have this understanding. And understanding comes with a lot. It comes with patience, tolerance, right? And understanding that part, because there's so many components to have a certain mindset, to understand, like, hey, this is not working for me exactly right now. I can still pivot. It doesn't mean I let it go, but maybe I can hold it in my hand, put it in my pocket while I'm still running. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. And perspective is everything. And as you was talking about, like, the way to talk about perspective and how everybody's perspective can be different. And the way that you put your music is a perspective of your own. And how that perspective gravitates to how other people see that. Because I can definitely resonate. There's people that, you know, they're coming in your life, and they might not be that person that you thought they were. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I thought you was this person, but maybe it was my fault for not realizing for who you were, but for who I wanted you to be. I was hoping for you to be this person. And that hope sometimes can be a blind hope, thinking that this person. And it sounds like you've been through enough to see that, like, yo, this is how people move. This is how things can be like, but that's not going to break me. You know what I mean? That's just who you are, and I'm going to move on from there.
Yeah, 1,000%. People change. People change, and I've been around people who I call my brothers, and, you know, over time, you know, things happen. Things really just happen, and you can't control it. Sometimes you just got to let it go. And that doesn't mean I have any hate towards them. I don't have anything against them. It's just, again, like I said previously, you know, people you outgrow people, and that's really all there is to it. Like, you just have to be able to find ways to reinvent yourself and realize what is best for me in order to continue growing. Because sometimes people will drag you down. They'll hold you by the foot, and that'll make you drown. So it's always best to just realize what do you really have that I can take, you know, in terms of growing and being a better person. So.
Right. No, I absolutely agree. I think when you can't learn from someone else, it's hard to grow as an individual, because we should be teaching each other things every day, right? There's something that you like, there's something that I like, or we're just both reaching the same thing, but we're always trying to find more knowledge, right? And it's hard to do that when you're young and you're trying to figure out more about life, and seeing that this is the life that we've seen so far, but it is not what it is. You know what I mean? There's still so much to say or see about life to even be close to say what is life. You know what I mean? I think I say before to a couple students that I was talking to over at Westfield, and it's what happens, our experiences, we dictate that as reality, and we think those are experiences is just what it is, right? When what you focus on is what you see. So what we've seen so far was our focus. So now we just need to change our focus, right? And look at this new perspective. Like, maybe life isn't so bad if I stop looking at it like that, you know? So I want to ask, too, in a very pivotal moment in your life, what would you say that moment was? Is that, you know, you realizing something, you hearing some bad news? I know we talked about when you was 14, but as far as, like, that gave you more of this perspective now, and making this music now, what was that pivotal moment that made you realize on how people move and how you should value your friends and your boundaries and your circle? What was that like for you?
You know, it's it hurts, you know, because being in high school, you think the way it is, it's always going to be, which is not true at all. So graduating and seeing everyone around you kind of disperse into their own lives, as realistic as that is, it's still kind of in your heart. You're like, dang, man, you know, you never get those years back. So, you know, it's hard to live with that, but I feel like that turning point of like graduating and seeing like, this is the real world, you know what I mean? This is my reality now. It goes to show who's really there for you. You know what I mean? I feel like social media is there's so many different ways to look at it, but it's such a crazy thing because even after high school, you see people doing this, doing that, and those same people were in your class socializing with you, but now that you're not in that bubble, you're not trapped in that bubble, you don't hear from them as much. And those are the little experiences that's like, wow, like, this person really messed with me like they did? Because if we were so cool, why don't you still reach out? You know what I mean? Little things like that, you know, as I'm growing, I'm starting to let go. Like, okay, well, maybe this small circle that I do have is good for me, and it's healthy for me. And honestly, I feel like now that I'm starting to get used to that, it's starting to settle in. Like, okay, this is what I want for myself. I want a tight circle that I know has my back no matter what, and that not everyone's supposed to be around. You know,
right? Everything's impermanent.
1000%.
Things come and go. That's okay. And you know, I can say that even coming out of high school for me, you know, I've had a very similar experience, but I was also very close to myself. I think, you know, coming from New York and I went into middle school, you know, a lot of my friends was in New York. So maybe I didn't make as strong as friendships as other people would coming from elementary. Though I think when it comes to, you know, going into the world itself, because after you're done with high school, things change a lot, right? You could go to college or you cannot go to college. And the life right there is a very pivotal moment because it was even for me. When I was 18, 19, I was still figuring it out. I thought I'd had it all figured out. And even now, I think, you know, it's been 2 years doing the podcast and stuff. I feel like now I know where I'm going. You know what I mean? Now. And that's me being 25. So I'm very sure this year especially, this feels right. This feels like my purpose. This is where I should be. Especially as how law of attraction works and how things are. It's a coincidence, but then it's not a coincidence because I believe in higher power. I believe in the law of attraction and how that moves and stuff like that. I would say there's so many experiences when it comes to the people that we're with when we're in high school. And what sucks the most is where people have this persona that they give, and they might be just doing it just to get by. Right? Now, that doesn't take away for the fact that, you know, sometimes people are busy. Totally understand that, right? But there's, after a while, something has to give, right? You know, I understand you're always busy. Oh, this happened? Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Definitely understand. But after a while, I was like, okay, well, there's a difference where if I'm reaching out and I'm saying, hey, let's do this. Oh, I can't. Okay, understand. But then there's the follow-up after that, right? If I say I can't, done. I say I can't, then it doesn't seem as if there is effort. But if I say I can't, how about this day? What are you doing this day? Or this is when I'm available. What can we do? Blah, 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 right? Then that looks like, okay, well, at least there's some effort there. And I think a lot of times people don't want to make effort, right? No, especially when it comes to friendships, because honestly, a friendship is a relationship. It's a relationship. I know my best friend Tyler for 13 years. It's a relationship. That's my guy. I'd be like, yo, when you get married, you better be marrying me.
No, literally.
You know, and it's funny to say it like that because that's exactly what it is. Like, it's the respect part. Is the fact that, you know, they have bad days and I need to understand in that bad day. You know what I mean? I know Tyler for so long and it's crazy how, like, time has went by. And we be talking all the time like, yo, bro, like, damn, we know each other for 13 years. Like, it's crazy. And he's in Texas right now. He's doing good over there. And mind you, I don't text him every day. You know, I haven't heard from him in a minute, but we always check in on each other periodically and be like, yo, how's everything? Like, this is how things are going. Blah, blah, blah. You know, we have that time for that, especially, like, you know, trying to figure your life out and all these other things. That's still something that happens even within my age. I'm still figuring it out. At the end of the day of whatever I got going on here, we're still figuring it out. So
it's funny you say that because, not to name any names, but, like, there's relationships I've had, friendships I've had that, again, I've had my whole life, and seeing those people change, it's like that effort. It almost makes you think like, were you ever really my friend? Because it's crazy. Because I would look out for these people. I'll try to reach out as much as I can, and not seeing that energy reciprocated made me feel less valued. Like I didn't have anything to offer. And it's funny that we talk about this because, as I talked about before, my surroundings, you know, these are people that smoked. These are people that drank. These are people that partied and did all that. And because I wasn't in that circle, because I wasn't doing those things, it's almost like I was excluded. And so seeing all those missed FaceTime calls and then going with your bros to go drink or smoke, it's like, are you serious right now? Like, you know what I mean? And that goes to show that, you know, you don't always have people you outgrow people. And because we were playing in the sandbox, it doesn't mean that I have to go and smoke with you and do all the other things you're doing now.
Right.
You know, we all have our preferences and we all have our habits, and I don't need to join you to consider you my friend. But if you don't want to accept me and be able to have me around, then that's cool.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. It's almost as if, you know, people can give you an ultimatum without them saying it.
Yep.
Whereas, like, oh, if you don't do these things, then, you know, I'm not going to hit you up. I'm not going to do anything because you have to do what they do, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, and if all they do is such things as that, then it's kind of, okay, well, something needs to give, because if that's all you do, then I don't want to do that ever.
Yeah, exactly.
So then you know what I mean? It's like, and mind you, I've drunk before, I smoked before, so that's not to say that, you know, that is... like, if you did it once or whatever, like, okay, that's OD. But it's more on the fact if that's all you do, and then you also don't accept someone else in because that's not what they do, you know, then it's almost dispositioning them, right? You put them in a position where they have no choice. But then in that choice that you've made, it makes you feel less than, because it's like, wow, then just because I don't do that. And for most people, they'll end up doing it because they just want to fit in, right? Yeah. And for you was like, I'm not trying to butt myself into something that I don't really like doing, because now I'm devaluing myself. And that's the whole point, right? The fact is that when we get into friendships and we're getting into relationships, we don't want to delve into something that we don't understand. Right. You know what I mean? In the fact of where I wouldn't understand myself doing this. It doesn't fit me. Yep. You know what I mean? Trying something is different than doing it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of the fact of you can't disclude someone completely just because they don't do it. Yeah. And there's a lot of people that do that. And that's okay. That's fine. But it's bittersweet.
Yeah, it sucks because for the longest, that person tried to, you know, have me around. But when it became more of a, not like a chore, but it became more like a hassle to have me around. Like, oh, well, this person's going to be around, we're going to be smoking and da-da-da. I can't really have them there. Like, it's going to be annoying. Then it's like again, I felt like I became more of a burden to that person. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to.
And if someone does that, it's almost as if, you know, they devalue by speaking it out loud, and then the other people around them devalue you because they spoke it out loud on how much they devalue the fact that you don't smoke. Yeah. Right? In just this circumstance, it's kind of now they're framing you.
Yeah, they're literally drawing a line.
They're putting you in a box. You know what I mean? But like, this is you, and this is just us because we do this stuff.
Because we all do it. Yeah, it's crazy. And so I want to shout out my friend Chris. He my right hand man. He's like my best friend. We go to the gym every day. We work on ourselves. We have these talks. That's one of the conversations we always have. It's like, you know, he used to be in that circle. And he started realizing that, you know, time is precious and that we shouldn't really be wasting our time doing these activities that we know don't really lead to anything. Right. So he got himself out that circle. He tried, you know, he's trying to work on himself and find ways to better himself, and seeing that. And even though he's like only a few years older than me, there's still so much to learn in his situation, even through all the hardest things. He's just gone through so much. I don't want to speak too much on his situation, his circumstances, but seeing what he's been through, and, you know, it's very easy for someone to say, I'm going to lean on this. I'm going to lean on weed. I'm going to lean on, you know, liquor. I'm going to lean on, you know, blame everybody. But no, he said, you know what? Do I really want this for the rest of my life? Do I really want to be around these type of people? Do I really want to wait 10 years down the line and say, dang, what do I have to show for it? Nah, he's working on himself. He's doing better. He let go a lot of that stuff, and I'm really proud of him. He's done a good job.
Yeah, no, it's always good to have someone like that, right?
Yeah,
to
for
get
sure.
some inspiration from, and in a kind of way of them being a mentor in a way, because you can always learn from them, right? And that's initially what a mentor is. You're learning from them.
Yep.
And someone that is in your circle that is likely to be the person that you want to become, right, is the kind of people you need.
Yeah.
Because your circle is a reflection of you at the end of the day, right? And how you set your boundaries will only allow the people that you want in. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, boundaries to protect yourself, right? And it's to keep the people that would not respect you out.
Yeah.
You know, so that boundary, that wall, is for all the people that disrespect you, all the people that don't value, the people that don't love you, the people that don't accept you, right? And anybody that can do all that, though, there's a door right here on the side, and you could go right in. You'd be like, all right, come on, like, right? Because once you're in, right, that's when you could be vulnerable. That's when you could have conversations like this. Because honestly, people don't like having conversations like this. This one right here that we're doing, right? Because it comes with a lot of vulnerability, honesty, right? And then just saying it out loud. So that also takes a lot of courage. You know what I'm saying? The fact of expressing yourself in a way to understand what you say, but also having the other person understand it as well. And there's always two sides to a coin. You know what I mean? So it's always about, what do you value? And with that value, okay, that's what you value. Oh, I value that too. Let's both go there. You know what I mean? And whatever you value, maybe I can help you a little bit, or whatever it is. Oh, you feeling 100? Oh, all right, bet. I'm feeling 80. You know what I mean? I need help sometimes. Oh, this is how I'm feeling. You're like, yo, bro, I'm having a bad day. Like, that matters too. You know what I mean? Reaching out to your friend and be like, yo, I'm having a bad day or something like that. And then he's able to give you that space, because that's a thing. You know, me and Tyler, we've done that before. I've cried and be like, when he was leaving to Texas, I was like, all right, bro, I'm going to miss you, man, because that's like my brother. You know what I mean? Known him for 13 years. It's crazy. We've seen each other grow up, play basketball with each other. It's crazy. And the brotherhood, right? The respect is something that you don't see so often nowadays. And it's not to say that's not out there, but what we're trying to say is that we should advocate for it more. We should be more of a leader and show people, like, yo, this is what matters. And that's why I like doing stuff like this, having podcasts like this, expressing yourself with your music and stuff like that is a good representation that people can look up to. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, definitely agree. I love this.
Yeah, it's crazy that you say that, because I feel like also another soft subject I feel like people are scared to talk about is, like you said, vulnerability, especially in men. You know, we see a lot of times that people feel like they can't talk to one another and express themselves, especially as a teen. You know, we think that's corny, or that's tacky. Like, why would I want to talk?
Right.
But having those conversations, having those talks with your bros about how you feel and how things aren't working out, and that you want to do this and you want to do, those are the type of conversations that make you think, see different perspectives, and be able to take action and build yourself as a better person. So 1,000%.
Yeah, totally agree. Everybody that is listening, Joshua here is 19, and he has this good perspective. And this is a perspective that is going to continue to grow, right? You say you be 20?
I'll be 20 in November, yep.
November, look at that. November
30th.
November 30th. Mine's is September 18th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's coming up.
Yeah. My brother's birthday is November 7th.
That's coming up.
Yeah. I always get mixed up with the 5th, which is my sister's birthday.
You gotta have that written down, bro.
I've been just going back and forth, 5 and 7, 5, 7, 5, 7. But yeah, no. Everybody that's listening, I hope everybody really got something from this episode, right? We talked about friendships, we talk about expressing ourselves, if it's through music, finding ourselves, and then understanding the boundaries that we need for ourselves, so that we can actually have those good relationships with people, that friendship that means more to us, because that's something that we want. We don't want to keep getting hurt. We don't want to keep going through a cycle. We just want to be able to spot the flag, see it, and then move away from that, because we don't always want to do the same thing to a point where we get burnout and then we just feel hopeless. We want to give you hope.
Oh,
so, yeah, right? So why don't you let everybody know where they can follow you?
For sure. So on Instagram, you can follow me at vro.josh. That's VRO.JOSH. I'm on Facebook, JAEL space VALLE. And yeah, my name is Joshua Valle. You can probably find me pretty much anywhere under that name. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, everybody, we appreciate you guys. We are well on our way. We're going to keep on growing. All the love and support that you guys been giving us has been tremendous. And we're just going to keep having guests come on the show to inspire us and just talk about their motivation, why they did it, who they are, and what they're doing, because that's what matters. That's what makes community a unity. And just appreciate you guys for being here. And whatever podcast platform you're on, make sure you follow us as well on Instagram at The Rally Cries with an S at the end. And also, if you haven't got your communication card game, please do so. It's a good way to break the ice, and we just did a couple here in this episode, so if you guys know, you guys know. But again, until next time, y'all be easy.